Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack, and we also have.
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
So today we have a promo. It's not a full trailer, but it's just a little promo of what's going to happen in the Cobra Kai season 4. It's coming back now. This as I think I don't know if I think I wasn't on one of those ones that we you guys did the show. For me, since the especially the first one was something that was very close to my heart. I liked the second one. The third one, I really liked the end. It was something that was very close to me, and I was like, I know how actors get. They want media roles, and I was worried that Daniel Russo was going to be a total a-hole, but they kept the character true to the character. So the parts of his character that had those elements, they stay in those sort of characters. They did sort of my 80s gut wrenching comic books, the stuff that I loved, and I had to stop reading, and I go back and read them and saying I was wrong. This is the same experience of saying I can't watch it, then I go back and watch it, and I loved it. What are your thoughts before we get into watching this? What do you got to say about your wanting to see this season?
No thoughts, straight to the tape.
All right, you ones don't want to have no more fun with it. Let's let it rip. Ready, y'all? Hold on, stop it. And
Fasten your gi, tie your belt. Karate is coming to the world's biggest stage, where legends are born. Welcome back to the All Valley Karate Tournament. The soul of the valley is on the line.
The man boys filled you in on the whole mortal enemy karate dojo battling for the soul of the valley thing.
So it was really just a teaser. But
Yeah, I could have done without that.
oh, come on. This one is just is coming back.
I knew it was coming back. That's more like I don't know. That's almost like it was taking a shot at itself at the end of the day. I would have liked a little bit more.
Okay, that's fair.
I would
Hmm?
No, I mean, look, I mean, I don't know if for me, I think they've wrapped up most of the storyline that they have within the Karate Kid films, unless you bring back Hilary Swank. Even though I was talking with someone else about it at the end of the day, and he's like, "Oh no, this could go on for like 8, 9 seasons." And I was like, "Yeah, if they wanted to become trash, it could go on for 24 seasons at that point." But I think they've wrapped up most of the storylines that extend from those initial films and the ones that were created here. So in many ways, I'm looking at this like this was probably the last season of it. Even though they're not saying that, but depending on what they do, I think this would probably be a strong way, a strong season to end. So I'm looking at this. I'm trying to get some clues as to what to expect. I already know about the All Valley. So the teaser I didn't really need to. The teaser I didn't need. I would have liked an actual trailer with a little bit more meat on the bone than what I'm seeing here.
I'm just jazzed up that it's coming back. I like sort of having this sort of commercial for that thing. But ultimately I think as far as Daniel and Johnny, this might be sort of them sort of being getting equal time with the kids. But I think seeing where these kids go, maybe they could go a little further. But depends on how they're strong writers, and as long as the writing stays strong. Because I think a lot of people kind of go and they say, "Oh, this is kind of like good cheese." And this, that, and the other, and that sort of thing, because it's the Karate Kid. But it's like the characterization and is really strong in this. So I think if these guys are worth their salt, it's possible they could go on. But I see your points.
Yeah,
So,
the characterization, I always credit the story. I really credit the show for two things. I know a lot of people put a lot of weight on characterization. I'm more of I'm definitely more story, more plot. I enjoy more plot driven stuff at the end of the day. But this story does both. They've been able to successfully do both, and that's been a big selling point for me, especially when I recommend it. The cheese factor, I don't think people understand what cheese is at the end of the day. If you're watching this, and that's the foremost thing coming to your mind. It does remind me that a lot of people don't know how to experience television. television is different from film. Film is different from a prose novel. A prose novel is different than an epic poem. And the experience and the approach is not the same for each one of those. So if you go into the Karate Kid and you're expecting, I don't know, an Inception, Inception level story, Inception level plot lines and so on and so forth, then you need to watch Inception. It's not cheese, okay, because you think it's corny. Okay, it's cheese because it's actually cheese at the end of the day. So for anybody who's on that train, I recommend look at the story and look at this. You have to involve yourself in the world that's being created. Now, if you don't believe that world that's being created, then you can just take yourself out of it because you're not able to suspend disbelief and it's never going to work for you. But if you allow yourself to suspend disbelief, a lot of the stuff comes across with a great amount of veracity, verisimilitude, and authenticity.
Well, I'd only add with the characterization, not saying it, well, it should definitely at times be able to drive some of your story. But ultimately, for me, a lot of times, and go to the critique of, I think it's like Live Free or Die Hard. I think people look at it today and they say, wow, John McClane, he's really kind of offensive in his sort of humor and the jokes that he's doing and that sort of thing. And I was just like saying, they're keeping with the character. He is a New York cop that's kind of quick-witted, that would make fun of anything possible, that especially an adversary, and say something terrible about someone who's trying to kill him. And they're just like, wait a second, we need the characters to move. The characters that in the movie where no one complained, they want them to correct themselves when you watch them in your later viewing, when you're saying, hey, I don't want to see any fat jokes, any black jokes, Asian jokes, anything like that. We somehow watch these movies and we kind of lose the context of saying this is just some gritty, New York sort of cop who kind of you know is that way. And we kind of want these characters to be these universal flat sort of thing that can, oh, here we go, we have this scene where somebody is, I have to use a gun to kill somebody, but they got their hands down, but they have a that sort of thing that we kind of lose in these stories where they kind of go to what we think the character should do instead of what the character we've seen do something. We'd like say, oh, what would the order be safe enough for the audience, instead of saying, hey, John McClane he's the hero, but at the same time he's going to be saying some, he's going to be taking some shots at these guys. He's going to be saying some really terrible stuff, but that sticks in with his character, which people kind of just like, no, 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 we need the studio to kind of give us these characters because we don't want them to be anyway offensive. So clean this line up, clean that line up where Johnny stays having that element that we saw. As much as we like him now, he hasn't lost, because at the end of, was it going to the end of the first movie, he does have a moment with Daniel, and then the start of the second, he's kind of getting it from his teacher, and we kind of feel for Johnny at those moments, which is I think interesting. I think a lot of people kind of lose where they just kind of say, well, we want these characters to grow because of the time, not say, hey, you don't change. People don't change that much, So not as far as it necessarily driving it, but just keeping these characters in character, which is hard to do in these things because people always want people to evolve. Say like the X-Men. That's usually my example of saying you have someone who's
They don't want them. They don't want the characters to. They don't want the characters to evolve. They want the characters to be what they want them to be, which are characters that they'd never. Anybody was saying, "Hey, look, clean it up," this type of stuff. They would never watch the show anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to take that character in totality. Johnny, Johnny is a character who will say stuff that is offensive without a doubt. He will say stuff that's off color without a doubt. But not even a but. It's more like, and he's also a character who will put out all of this time to help. What is it? To help Miguel with his rehabilitation. Okay, he's definitely someone who learns from mistakes. This is somebody who is capable of having genuine connections with people, having genuine relationships with people, as you see with his former Cobra Kai friends. And that's a well-rounded character. Not saying that a well-rounded character is somebody who's going to be offensive to other people, but that character right there, if taken in totality, is a character that is totally acceptable at the end of the day. There's nothing, there's nothing to the point where we need to go back to the drawing board with Johnny's character. Whereas other people are like, oh, we don't want to hear that anymore. It's not fun. But you have people who exist like that, who are genuinely good-hearted people and could be totally oblivious or ignorant to a whole bunch of other stuff in terms of what's socially acceptable, for whatever the scene is. That doesn't make him an evil person. That just means this is someone who lacks a lot of social grace.
Yes. Yep. So we'll be waiting for more. Spinner rack.
Out.